advisor for Ready for Hillary, the PAC that's supporting Clinton for president. Also, Steve Deace, conservative talk show host. Thanks for being with me. Tracy, let me start with you. Less than 3 weeks ago, the former Secretary of State admitted that she had more than one phone. Take a listen.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone. Okay, in full disclosure,
BlackBerry.
and a BlackBerry. I don't throw anything away. I'm like 2 steps short of a hoarder. So I have an iPad, a mini iPad, an iPhone, and a BlackBerry.
All right, so here's the thing, Tracy. Right there, you hear Mrs. Clinton saying that she has these 2 devices. Yesterday, she said that for convenience, she only used 1 device. And you also hear her revealing that she saves everything. She's an admitted hoarder, although that was obviously somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Walk me through why this doesn't look bad when she makes that argument a few weeks ago, but yesterday we heard something that sounded entirely different.
Hi, Craig. Thanks. I think that when I count the years between 2009, when Secretary Clinton began at the State Department, until that, 2.5 weeks ago when she made those comments, I think I've probably had 7 different devices during that time period. I bet you guys have. Secretary Clinton is referring to having 2 devices now. In 2009, when she was Secretary of State and took that office, she was talking yesterday in her lengthy press conference about what she did then. So let me just stress the importance of keeping in mind the time interval we're talking about here. So that's a start. But more importantly and more substantively, she was quite direct in saying, yeah, it probably wasn't the best thing to have done, and I don't know how much more direct she could have gotten with that statement. But the issue that's concerning as we listen to Trey Gowdy and others is that this has now become almost like a game ball to be knocked and batted around, and it's not clear to me what the compelling questions are.
Tracy, not to cut you off, but I think we can all agree that yes, there is certainly going to be a political element to all of this, as there usually is when there's a Clinton involved. However, there are some who are still asking legitimately, why delete the emails? Even if they are personal emails, why delete thousands of them before you turn them over?
And as everyone really digs into that question and her words yesterday, I think that there's really 3 groups of people who can react to that. There are supporters of Secretary Clinton, like myself, like the millions of people who support the Ready for Hillary effort. Then there are her detractors who are never going to budge from being her detractors. But what matters the most are the people in between. And I'm talking to you today from Chicago. I've yet to see or meet or talk to anyone in Chicago who cares at all about this. So it's that 3rd group that I think the question should be directed to. And the answer that I'm hearing is, it doesn't matter. It's private. Who cares?
Steve,
let's move on.
Steve, why should people care about this?
Well, first, it's absolutely hilarious that 3rd group in the middle is in Chicago, the home of the president, one of the most leftist cities in America. If you want to find that 3rd group, go to places like North Carolina, go to places like Ohio, go to the suburbs of places like Florida where presidential elections are actually won. That's where you're going to find that 3rd group, Craig, not on the streets of Chicago, which has Rahm Emanuel as governor. Listen, I have nothing more to add. You guys are doing phenomenal reporting on this. The montage you played is very powerful. You look at the headlines from what a lot of we on the right would call liberal media. You cited several of them already. I'll throw in one more. The Los Angeles Times has the headline, Hillary admits deleting 30,000 emails. And essentially what Mrs. Clinton is asking the American people to do is to unilaterally trust her judgment and her judgment alone, that it was okay for her to delete all of these emails, that we just take it at face value and her word for it, that there is nothing in there that's incendiary, nothing in there that was dealing with national security, nothing in there that was incriminating, Because, Craig, listen, I mean, whether you love the Clintons or not, we're talking about a presidency. The last time she lived in the White House, they were impeached. And why were they impeached? Because they didn't tell the truth. There is a long legacy of not telling the truth, of not being forthcoming, of telling different troops to different groups of people from the Clintons.
Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein, first Democrat who called on Clinton to come forward. She said yesterday that she was satisfied with the news conference. I want to play a bit of what she said, and I want to play devil's advocate on the other side. Take a listen.
The important thing was that she stepped forward and talked to people. And I think people will be reassured listening to it. People agree that personal emails should be private material. I mean, if I have an email with my husband, no, I'm not an administration official, but if I were, should I disclose that? I don't think so.
Steve, shouldn't the former secretary get expectation of privacy when it comes to emails describing funeral arrangements or wedding plans or things of that nature?
Of course, but, I mean, Diane's answer defies common sense. I mean, you're asking the American people to unilaterally believe, with no oversight whatsoever, on something most people didn't even know until the New York Times wrote a story about this 2 weeks ago. You're asking people to believe 30,000 emails fall into that category. And how reckless would it be for a Secretary of State to so casually be deleting emails, sending emails, all from the same account when you're dealing with matters like, say, what happened to 4 dead Americans at Benghazi. You're dealing with matters like, say, Russia's incursion, wannabe incursion into Ukraine, and all the other issues you deal with as a Secretary of State. It clearly goes to a lack of judgment from Mrs. Clinton, and this is their M.O., Craig. They never think the rules apply to them. They always think they're above the law, and then they always cry privacy when they're called on it.
Steve, we're going to have to leave it there. Steve, Tracy, always good to have you. Thanks so much for your time. This story